You are listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast, hosted by Tom Baker. Thank you for listening. Your position has been triangulated. Drone army has been dispatched to your location. Commencing attack run in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Bravo Creative Podcast, and thank you so doggone much for taking a listen. If you're new to the show and have just happened upon us, firstly, I'm so glad you're joining us. And secondly, if you like what you're hearing, give me a thumbs up, a like, a love, a care on the Bravo Creative Podcast Facebook page. It does tons for my ego, and it lets me know if my compass is pointed in the right direction. The Bravo Creative Podcast is being projected out to you by way of Podbean and all of your other favorite podcast platforms. I'm also on YouTube, Facebook, and the show is linked directly on the Bravo Creative website at www.bravocreative.net/Bravo Podcast. So something really cool just happened the other day. I broke 2,000 downloads of the podcast. That's right. Thank you. Thank you so very much. And I uploaded my 30th podcast last week. So before I give myself a pat on the back, I want to thank each and every one of my listening audience. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I love you. You are the bestest. My guest today is someone that I have had the great pleasure of getting to know over the last year. We've had lots of interesting and insightful conversations about acting and theater and film and production. And I was privileged to get to work with her on a very cool project earlier this year that we'll talk about here in a minute. And just recently, we shared the stage with each other, and I had a great time. She is an outstanding performer. From her strict dedication to the craft, her versatility of character. She is a beautiful vocalist, wonderful writer, and was an absolute joy to watch perform each night on the stage, and has become a great friend. And I want to welcome to the microphone Jennifer Buttell.
Wow. That was quite an introduction. I hope I can live up to that.
I'm sure you can. What have you been up to since last week that I saw you?
Since Mamma Mia, recovering, recouping my energy, and just resting, and going through my projects and seeing planning what I want to do next.
Yeah.
Putting my goals together.
And you might be getting right back into the fray again, huh? You're auditioning tonight, right?
Yes.
And this was just released today that there are auditions at the same theater, the Branson Region Arts Council.
Well, Owen
at the Owen Theatre.
Historic Owen Theatre.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're doing a Halloween performance of Carrie the musical. Mm-hmm. And you're auditioning for that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's directed by Jacob Deck.
Yes.
Same director for Mamma Mia.
My favorite director right now.
So it'll be if you get into that, you'll be right in rehearsals like lickety split, right?
Yes.
To get that one done.
Yeah.
That's probably not an easy show, is it?
I've watched a couple of the shows on YouTube. Yeah, it's a difficult musical. Not to mention I'm auditioning for the role of the mother. Boy, she is a piece of work. Talk about baggage. A lot to grab onto there.
Well, and if you've seen the movie, you're probably pretty familiar with how that all unfolds.
Yeah, but I also did not know that Julianne Moore played the mother in the remake 2013.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I saw a couple of clips of that.
Right before Mamma Mia, you did a fairly long run of a stage show at Stained Glass, right? Was it 3 weeks or 4 weeks?
Oh, yeah. Poor Richard. Yeah, that was 4 weeks.
It's 4 weeks?
Yeah.
How many performances each week?
It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday matinee.
Really? So, and you, as soon as you got done with that show, you went right back. You went. Right
I
actually
started rehearsing Mamma Mia while I was performing.
Yeah, because you weren't at some of the rehearsals because you were at performances.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was playing a cougar gold digger.
We're going to change your name to Jennifer Glutton for Punishment Buttell with the amount of shows that you've done.
I remember on the first day of rehearsal, I walked in and I had gotten a T-shirt and I had put on there Cougar Alert.
How did you get into performance, acting, all that? How far back do we go?
I suppose everyone's played, when they were little, they played, like Cowboys and Indians and whatever. But I remember that when I was like, I don't know, 6 or 7. But my dad's mom, Margaret Pearl, Buttell, so she was Irish. She was an actress, and her 2 sisters were actresses, and they used to tour. So I've actually inherited it from her.
Oh, wow.
Because she's also an artist. So I paint too. So I inherited all my artistic ability from my dad's side. But I do, in high school, I started when I was 14, my first play.
What was that?
Primetime Crime. I played a Chinese detective. What was his name?
Charlie Chan?
Yes. And so I wore this bald cap with this long braided ponytail that hung down the back. And I wore this robe, and I was sock-footed. And I remember the performances were in the school auditorium, right? And in order to get to the stage, you had to run up these stairs onto a platform and then walk onto the stage. So my entrance was running from the dressing area on up those stairs, and when I reached the top of the stairs and I went to make a stance, it was so slippery. My foot just flew out from under me. I landed flat on my back.
Was that opening night?
Yeah, it was hysterical. So, yeah, that was my first entrance.
So it was all downhill from there. Then,
yeah,
right?
Pretty much. Oh, that was funny. Then I remember doing Lavender and Old Lace, where I played a black maid named Hepsy.
Really?
Yes. And in Hanover, Kansas is where I went to school. And it's 630 people or something. There were 35 in my graduating class. There were no black people in Hanover. There still aren't. So they had me put on brown shoe polish on my arms.
Now, how old were you
face, then? 15.
15.
My face, my hands, and then I wore like 3 pairs of black hose, and then the beauty salon down the street, the only one there, made this huge afro wig for me. It would not be acceptable today.
No.
But, for sure. But boy, that was, I think my mom has a picture of it.
Oh, wow. Well, don't put that on social media.
I know.
Right?
Mom says, ooh, this could be damaging.
Well, so would you say that when you played the detective, was that kind of did you get bit by the bug then, or was it?
Oh, yeah.
Or was it well before that?
Yeah. When I started taking creative writing classes and drama classes in school, this is really cool. So my first competition in drama in high school, I played Carrie's mom, and my best friend played Carrie, and we performed the scene at the end of the movie, and we got second place in the competition. So how weird is that?
Was that like a district thing that you all went to all the different?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So how crazy is
that? It
that?
all comes back
I know.
full circle,
Isn't that
right?
bizarre? So bizarre.
Pursued it through high school, and then got into college. Same thing.
Well, I didn't go to college per se. I went to a VOTEC school.
Oh, okay.
And took commercial art. I didn't get, 83, 84 was when I got back into it. Topeka Civic Theater. I auditioned for the part of the tart in Daw. And
I was in Daw.
yes, we talked about that. And that was my first play after high school.
Really?
And then I just started doing play after play after play after play at the Topeka Civic Theater. I did Chicago.
Now, was that community theater? Was that like, it was?
Yeah.
So you weren't getting paid for that stuff?
No. I have never cared or pursued really getting paid for performing. I mean, because it's...
Do you think it's because you did so much community theater starting out that you kind of got... That's what I've always thought with myself, that's how I got that way too. I don't think about it as something that I would get paid for to do.
No, because it's hard to explain if that's not you, but it's like part of who I am. I have such a passion for it and a love for it, and if I don't perform for a certain amount of time, I start getting really depressed. It's like I have to be out there performing, or I'll just, I don't know.
So what is it like when you're out there performing? What is that thing that you yearn for on the stage? Is it the lights? Is it being in front of the people? Is it the audience? Is there one thing that kind of supersedes everything else?
I don't know. I think it's the challenge of this person, because a lot of people don't understand that the characters that you play are actually three-dimensional. I mean, they're real people, and you need to think of them as real people. So you need to develop their entire life, like you have an entire life and a history and a background and everything. You need to develop all that in order to make them as believable as possible. You're in the process of actually becoming someone else.
Right.
But you are also using your life, history, and background to produce that person. You're giving them part of yourself. So I think I really enjoy that, and I enjoy the interaction with the other actors and the whole process, the rehearsal process, I think is such a wonderful time. Yes.
It can be.
It can be.
It can be bad sometimes too.
Sometimes. It just depends. Sometimes you have the cast of people that are just, it's like a family immediately. It's like you just meld with everybody.
Mm-hmm. I felt that way with Mamma Mia too, though.
Yeah.
I felt like we had a really tight cast.
We did.
It was a lot of fun.
There was a lot of love there.
I said something in last week's podcast, but it was almost like it was too soon to talk about it for me, because I was still a little bit emotional about not being around everybody every single day for like 3 weeks. It just, you kind of have this, you feel like a piece of you is missing in a way.
Right.
And
and when you're not there, when a character is not there at rehearsal that you're supposed to be interacting with, that we feel the same way.
Right.
You're missing.
Yeah.
That person is missing. So it's like the puzzle isn't together. We aren't fully together yet.
Well, and that's interesting, because something interesting happened in Mamma Mia that I hadn't ever experienced before, was having a swing performer in the show. On Saturday nights of the show, Jen Frost, who played Donna, she had another show she was having to do in Branson. And then Katie Kohler, who played Tanya in the show, shifted to Donna. And then Liz came in and played Tanya's part.
Yes.
The first night, the weirdest part of it is that the pace changed quickly, like the very first scene.
Mm-hmm.
You guys had gotten, and that's the thing that's so weird about having somebody else come in and play another part, I think, is that your tempo is not that it's off, it's just different.
It is different. And it was the same thing, same way for me, because the Tanya, Liz's Tanya, was different than Katie's Tanya.
Yeah. And Katie's Donna was different than Jen's
Yes,
Donna.
because Katie's, the blocking that she
right.
chose was different than Jen's blocking. So,
Yeah, and it
you just have to adjust.
and it's not a hard adjust, but what it is I think after you get, you go through rehearsals so much, you get into kind of like a reaction autopilot kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Which is fun. To me, that's the fun part of theater. But what it felt like most times was when someone goes up on a line and you're on stage and all of a sudden you have this heightened awareness and you start paying attention to everything. And in essence, it does slow the pace down, or it changes the pace or the tempo. So that was interesting after the fact.
Right. So at least every, Saturday it was almost like your first performance.
Yeah, it was like a brand new
like,
show. Yeah.
Okay, you really have to be this is not autopilot.
Right.
You have to be aware of what's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. That was fun.
Yeah.
So going back, you went to vocational college, or vocational school.
Mm-hmm.
You were doing community theater. Mm-hmm. Then what happened?
So I was doing community theater in Topeka, and then in '84, I lost my job. I got laid off because I wasn't married and didn't have any children. Go figure that. So,
what were you doing? What job were you doing?
I was working in a screen printing business.
Oh, really?
Doing T-shirt design for screen printers.
Oh, cool.
But
you needed to be married
So the
to
lady
do
that
that.
was in charge, when she was told to lay off somebody, she decided to lay me off because I didn't have anybody to take care of. Besides myself.
Well,
hello.
There's that, I guess. I've never heard that. Well, yeah, I haven't heard that one before. But
And at the time, I was not currently doing a show at the time, but a friend of mine who was running the lights and the sound at Topeka Civic Theater got an offer to go to Albuquerque to run their lights and sound for Albuquerque Little Theater. So he said, "Hey, do you want to come with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And so and the day we were supposed to go to Albuquerque, he said, "I can't go. I'm stuck in this show. We're having problems. I have to stay." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll go anyway." I thought I'll go anyway. And I look back and I think, man, I was so fearless and like just jump into the fray without even thinking. Now, and today I'd be like, "Oh, I don't know. What if, but, so yeah, crazy." So anyway, I got on the plane. I didn't know where I was going. I've never been there before. I didn't have a clue. I didn't know anybody there. So I flew to Albuquerque, got into the airport, looked in the newspaper, found a hotel, got to the hotel, looked in the newspaper, found a job place that was hiring. So I called them up and I had an interview. So let's see, I flew in on a Wednesday. I got a job interview on Friday. I was hired on Saturday. I called in the newspaper. There was this lady who would drive you around looking at apartments or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I called her. She picked me up. There was another girl in the car. So that girl and I hit it off. We got an apartment together. So I flew back home. I called Mom. I said, "Hey, Mom, so I'm moving to Albuquerque." And she said, "What?" "I'm moving to Albuquerque." "Do you know how far that is?" "No, I know it took like an hour and a half by plane." That's all I knew. I still didn't know where I was going. And so Mom and Dad decided they were going to help me move. So they got the U-Haul and they picked me up. And we drove there on a Saturday, unloaded on Sunday. And I started work on Monday. It was like crazy. I still didn't know. But the drive there, I'm like, where am I moving to? Because
It's pretty down there, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's gorgeous. I mean, the Sandia Mountain. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I used to go there like every weekend and
Really?
just walk around up there. Yeah. Yeah, they have the tram that goes up the mountain, and there's a restaurant at the top of the mountain. Or you can drive up there and walk from the parking lot where you park there. You could walk through this path, through the mountains, through the trees and stuff, and go to the restaurant. And then you can watch hand gliders go off the cliff. So I went up there one day, and there was this guy who had taught these people, and they were now jumping
Off the cliff.
off the cliff. And one guy, he messed up, and he fell down the cliff, and they had to call the...
Were you there when it happened?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, my gosh.
It's like, oh my... You just watch him go, wah!
So how long did you live in Albuquerque then?
86 to like 88.
Did you do any theater down
89.
there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I started vocal. Took a vocal workshop, and I did musicals because they have Albuquerque Albuquerque Light Opera? Yeah, Albuquerque Light Opera. So I did Sweet Charity and My Fair Lady and Oklahoma. And then they also have a dinner theater. They had a dinner theater there. Black Sheep. It was called Black Sheep, I think. So I was doing shows there. And then there was a director that I got hooked up with, auditioned for, to do The Bat. It was a play called The Bat. And it was this period mystery. And I remember I learned a lot from this. This guy prepared me for Hollywood, because this guy was like, leave your emotions at the door. I don't need them here. If you have a problem with me, then you have a problem, and it's your problem, not my problem. Oh my gosh, he was something else. And I remember we were performing in this adobe building that had no bathrooms, just the porta potties outside, one big dressing room. Everybody had to dress together. It was crazy. It's quite an experience.
It was bohemian.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. But the weird thing is, I did, what's the name of that play? No, it was Three Sisters, or gets involved with this African-American kid.
I haven't seen that one.
Crimes of the Heart.
Crimes of the Heart.
Crimes of the Heart. It was Crimes of the Heart. And I was doing that at this dinner theater. Then, fast forward to 2013, I'm doing a play with a group of girls. And when we start rehearsing, I'm looking at this girl and thinking, I know her from somewhere. She looks so familiar. And it wasn't until opening night that we were backstage talking, her and I, and she said, "Yeah, I'm not from here. I lived in Albuquerque." I said, "Well, I lived in Albuquerque." She, "Yeah, well, she said I did some theater there." I said, "So did I." And she said, "Well, they had a dinner theater." I said, "Yes, they did." And I said, "What show did you do at the dinner theater?" And she said, "Crimes of the Heart." Get out. She played Babe in that Crimes of the Heart, and I played Chick, the next door neighbor. We had done the same show together, and it's like, no wonder I recognize. I thought I know this woman, but she looked completely different.
Right. Wow.
It's just crazy sometimes.
So you probably did quite a few shows then in Albuquerque in a 2-year span then.
Yeah, I would say I did at least 10.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, learned a lot there.
How many shows have you done in your life?
I don't know. I'm sure it's over 100.
Wow. I thought I had a bunch. But after I saw you on stage, I knew you had more than me because you're a really good performer.
Oh, thanks. Boy,
Really
I have learned so much from, every show I do is a learning experience.
Yeah.
It's never, I got this in the bag. I just fell on the floor. No, it's never that. You're constantly learning, growing, realizing how much you still don't know.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Going into like Mamma Mia, I kind of had the same feeling. Sam's not a super complex character, really. On its face, it isn't. And then you start reading it.
But you know what? Sometimes it's more of a challenge.
It is.
To play a person who doesn't have a lot to grab onto.
Yeah. And that's what was difficult on this one, is that you kind of have to really look at the kind of the rhythm of the part and go, okay, how do I make this person believable and interesting, and still not try to act too much,
right.
Not try to perform, but try to just be real.
And that's where creating that backstory of that character comes in handy. Because, like, how did Donna and I meet? What did we all go through? What did we talk about
Right.
when we were together? And why do I feel this way about her? And, and what am I doing? What did I do in
But you're right. That is the
years?
fun part. To me, that is the fun part of getting into a character, is
Yeah.
going through those little exercises in your head and trying
Yeah.
to figure it out. Yeah.
Because if the information isn't there, you have to fill in those gaps. Like, what happened?
And
after
Sam's character has a
after
lot
you-
of gaps. Yeah.
Yeah, and after Sam left Donna, what did he do for those years?
Yeah.
You have to fill in those blanks.
Yeah. And to me, I agree. It doesn't really matter. There's not really, you can have a throwaway character if you want to. You can choose
Sure.
to be a throwaway character,
Sure.
but it's more fun to have a backstory and go through it and try
Absolutely.
to breathe some real life into that person.
Yeah, it makes it all worthwhile. Otherwise, why are you there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's too hard of a process to do it for free and not have fun.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
It's too much work to do it if you're not going to get paid and not have fun in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't understand why you're there.
And like your one director, one thing that I've always especially in rehearsals, and you don't get it. We didn't get it too much in this one. There wasn't too much drama off the stage in Mamma Mia. I think that's what made it so much fun, is we didn't have too much drama. We had a couple little instances of drama, but
Yeah.
it wasn't anything massive or major. But one of the things I've always said is, because theater productions are traditionally, they get pretty dramatic off stage sometimes. And I've always said, if you put that much drama on the stage, we'd have sellout performances every night. So keep it on the stage.
Yeah.
So after Albuquerque, where did you go?
So in Albuquerque, I saw an audition for American Academy of Dramatic Arts in the newspaper. So I asked my current director if she would coach me in a scene to do for auditions. So I auditioned for the Academy there in Albuquerque, and I was accepted. So I call Mom, guess what? I'm moving to California. What? Why?
We just got you to Albuquerque.
Can't you just be a normal person and get a job and live somewhere and stay there and what is wrong with you?
Did she really say that?
Yeah, she did. She's like, why can't you just be a normal person? I said, I don't know, Mom.
Have you figured it out yet?
I said, look at Dad. My dad was crazy. He was crazy when he was a kid. I mean, I am a lot like my dad. He is wild, just going off, crazy person. He was a Golden Glove in the Army. He would pick fights with like 6 guys at a time just because it was fun and he wanted to challenge himself. I mean, and he's always joking around and you never. Sometimes I don't know when he's serious and when he's being funny.
So he's still like that.
Oh yeah, he's still like that. Oh, he's still like that. And he's just a force. He walks into the room and he goes, hi, how you doing? My name's Dude. What's going on? It's like, whoa.
His name's Dude?
Yeah, ever since he was little, they nicknamed him Dude. First he was Little Dude. And then when he got to be a teenager, he was no longer Little Dude. It was just Dude. So I think he's the original Dude before Dude even became a thing. So, yeah, it's Albert Dude.
Albert Dude.
Albert Dude Buttell. And everybody knows him as Dude. If you say Albert, they'll be like, who? Dude. Oh, Dude. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So I got my big personality from him, basically. Yeah. So I moved to California and went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts when it was in Pasadena. Now it's in LA. But yeah, went there for 2 years and then just jumped right in, started doing theater. And
so who did you work with there?
At the American Academy.
Mm-hmm. Anybody?
And the teachers at the Academy were working actors. And that's why I really liked the program, because they themselves were out there auditioning for stuff. But there weren't any names there. But I do know of a couple of guys who are in my class. I've seen them many times in major films, commercials. So, yeah.
So what was that program like?
It was good. It was a really good learning process. I remember they have a musical theater department, but the one in New York doesn't.
That would seem weird. You would think the one in New York would have more.
Exactly. And they said, well, if you want to do the musical, go into musicals, then you really need to stay in LA. Even though there's only 2 major theaters in LA that really do like union musicals.
Yeah.
Big theaters. The rest of them, it's so many little theaters in LA. They're just scattered everywhere.
So were you auditioning for stuff while you were at the Academy?
No.
Was that looked down upon?
I just didn't have the time. I was working as a security guard during, the classes were, I started my classes in the morning, got off in the afternoon, and then I'd go to work as a security guard from 4 to 12.
Where are you security guard at?
Arco.
Did you carry a gun?
No.
Like a baton?
No.
Any kind of
weapon? It was in the building, you walk in the building and we're basically in this booth, so.
You didn't get like a taser or nothing like that? Mm-mm. You just have to.
And I would do rounds.
You're going to have to fight them hand to hand.
I guess if I needed to do that.
Of course, you grew up with the dude, so you could have done it.
Yeah, I never even thought about that, actually. But I do. Oh, I can't say that. Ooh. Things that happen to you while you're a security guard.
Right.
That's a whole nother podcast. Woo!
So you were there for 2 years.
2 years.
Are you all doing shows or films or anything like that?
No.
So you're just going to class?
No, it was a pretty strict process. So, and working at the same time. I mean, I barely had time to do my homework.
So I want to ask you this because I don't have a formal education in acting or anything like that. But what is the difference between doing it bootstrap way, like by doing tons of community theater, versus going to like the academy?
Well, of course, hands-on, doing the shows is really good.
It's a lot more fun.
Yeah. You learn, not only do you learn, you do role playing with auditioning and stuff, but mainly you learn the business of the business, which is really important to know, as well as history, theater history, and role playing, of course. Dance. They had a dance program. They are a rounded school, so you are learning everything.
So they're
all the time.
They're making
It's
you a
not
versatile
just-
performer. Then.
Yes, exactly. So you're learning dance, theater history, scene study, audition process. Yeah. And at the end of each year, you are involved in a show. So you audition for that show, and
Like a stage show.
yeah, because they have 2 theaters there.
Oh wow.
So I did Into the Woods and Little Night Music.
I've never seen Little Night Music.
I played Cinderella in Into the Woods. I remember I'd have to come out on that rake stage and fall down.
Rakes are hard. I did
It's easy to fall on a rake stage, though.
I did the Crucible one time with a rake stage. And we had the old English shoes on. I had to go to the chiropractor when I was done doing the show because my legs were all jacked up from standing up there. Because Crucible, you just kind of stand around
Right.
and look,
Yeah.
you look sad the whole show,
Yeah. So you learn character study and development, and it was very helpful.
Yeah. So then you did that. By going to the academy, did that help you get work afterwards?
Yeah, it looks good on your resume.
So it was purely like, was there a networking aspect of it too, that they, like this person knew you from doing that they kind of refer you?
No, not that I'm aware of, but sending in your resume with that on it, I have no idea
Right.
if that prompted somebody to bring me in or not.
So as soon as you got out of the academy, then you kind of make a decision of whether you're going to, I guess do you get an agent at that point?
I didn't right away. I did a show. I went to Glendale Center Theater, and I did The Remarkable Mr. Pennypacker. That was my first show after the academy, which was tons of fun. And I loved Glendale Center Theater. And it was in the round.
Oh, cool.
On the floor. And then the seats went up like stadium. It's really cool. And then I did a pirate show play where, because I took fencing at the academy too.
Oh, okay.
They had a fencing class. So I took fencing, and so I got to put that into practice at this point.
Oh, wow.
That was fun. And then in the process of doing those 2 shows, I would meet and talk to other actors, and so network with other people. And someone referred me to their agent or their manager, and I would call and set up interviews that way. That's how I got my first TV role. I was referred to an agent who referred me to a manager, and that manager knew the casting director at Days of Our Lives, and he sent me over there to see her, and she cast me in one episode.
So you were in a Days of Our Lives?
Days of Our Lives.
When circa
93.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
I had really long hair then, and they just, I mean, when I looked in the mirror when they got done with my hair, I looked like, the 80s, the big, huge, fluffy. It's like, wow, who's that? She's gorgeous. Look at that hair.
So did you work on a lot of the soap operas? Did
No.
you get more work from those?
No, that was the only soap I did. And I did work on, and then I, early on, Mr. Saturday Night.
Oh, with Billy Crystal.
Crystal's movie. I got cast in that, and at the soundstage at the studio, we were on a break, and I was sitting outside, and these two dogs came running over to me, these little dogs, and I'm like, oh, hi. And then I heard this yelling from the distance somewhere, and this woman yelling, get away from my dogs. And I'm like, I look up, and Demi Moore is standing in front of her trailer screaming at me from across the lot.
Really?
I'm like, what is happening? She's like, get away from my dogs.
So she was on the same set?
Yeah. Well, she was in the soundstage next to Billy Crystal. She was doing A Few Good Men.
Oh, really? She must have just got off a scene with like Jack Nicholson or something.
Oh, my gosh. And so her bodyguard or whoever came over and got the dogs.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
I suppose that's why I never got cast in any of her movies. Dog stealer.
I kind of want to say that Few Good Men was her last good film, though.
Kind of. I don't know what happened there.
Because she had striptease after that.
Right. Ugh. But she looks good, I have to say. I mean, if you have, 8 hours every day to work out.
I'm
and
sure.
You have a trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell us about Hollywood and acting. What is that like?
Wow.
Like if you could sum it all up, what was that experience like?
It's rough. There's so much competition there, first of all. And there are so many things you don't know. I mean, it would drive me crazy. I would go to a casting call and I'd get a call back, but I wouldn't book it. And I would go drive myself crazy, wondering why. Of course, you'll never know, ever. Nobody ever tells you why or, And I remember one of my acting coaches who was really cool. He'd say, Jennifer, you can't second guess them. You have to make a choice, go in there, do the best you can, do your thing, and leave and forget about it. Otherwise, you'll go insane.
Yeah.
He said,
I've heard that from quite a few people.
You could look like the producer's ex-wife or something.
Right.
Or have some kind of personality of a person that he didn't like at some time or another. Or you look like a relative or sound like, it's so much visual rather than your ability.
Right.
Which could drive you crazy. It's like, why am I out there learning when all it boils down to is you don't look great.
Yeah.
You're too heavy. You're too thin. You're not heavy
Too
enough.
tall.
You're too tall. You're too short. You're too this.
Well, and like Michelle had so much trouble with that. Beautiful singer, beautiful woman,
yes.
6'1".
Yeah.
And then most of the guys that were auditioning were 5'9". Mm-hmm. And they go, we can't have them. You're not ingenue, so you're going to play the comedic person in the back or whatever.
And they didn't.
And that needs to be an alto, by the way.
Yeah. And lots of times the agents would just look at me and go, I just don't know what to do with you, Jennifer. you read well. You're a good cold reader. You're a good actress. But your look, I just don't know where you fit in.
Seriously.
Yeah. You're not a lead. You're not an ingenue. It's like you're not good looking enough to be the lead female.
Right. So they would tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, and at that point, I didn't know or I didn't realize that I'm more of a character. I'm a character actress. Like the crazy neighbor, the psycho girlfriend, anybody else.
So if you accept that, that's who you are.
You really need to know where you fit in to the Hollywood circle or the entertainment circle.
Sure.
In order to, because your agents aren't always going to figure that out.
Right.
They want you to say, okay, this is who I think I am. These are the roles that I can do and that I will fit.
Right.
And that I would be cast for. So, watch for those, set me up for those auditions. Don't send me out on the lead. I'm not going to get it.
Right.
Unless the lead is a psycho girlfriend.
Well, I mean, it's the same. I mean, it's like you have, I can't tell you how many bad guys I played. I always play the bad guy. I guess I'm not good enough looking to play the lead, but I'm not bad enough looking to play the comedic guy or whatever. So let's put him in the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is you don't see yourself like they see you.
Right.
So here's an exercise. When I went to Sam Christensen's workshop, this was an excellent exercise to figure out how you fit in.
Okay.
How other people see you who don't know you. Go to the airport. He said, take a friend with you. Go to the airport. Pick a spot to stand against the wall. Your friend has a sheet of paper with all these different distinctions. He is going to go to strangers, give them the piece of paper and say, there's my friend over there. She wants to know what you see when you look at her. And they have a sheet of paper and they mark off these characteristics that they see just by looking at you.
And so you take the greater sum of all those.
Right. And you take those pieces of paper and you're like, really? Wow. I didn't know that. And that, chances are, that is what a casting director, a director, a producer, whoever who doesn't know you, as soon as you walk in that door, that's what they see.
So did you do that?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
Smart, tough. One person said scary.
Did they say cougar? They say
no.
Cougar.
That's funny. Yeah, some people said cute rather than pretty. Interesting. I don't know.
So, what is the hang up then as a performer? Is it all of us as a performer, what is our hang up? I mean, it's like you have certain people that have the looks and they have the singing ability and the
triple threats.
The triple threats, and they have the body and they have all that. But what is their hang up? Is it because they're in with a whole herd of those same people.
Oh my gosh.
And so then now
you would not even believe.
Now you have to chop down who is the most beautiful of the beautiful people, right?
Right.
So in some ways it's better to be
different
and on that outside portion as a performer, because you're not necessarily having to compete with everybody else, and you're probably not having to go to the gym as much either.
Right. Well, at that time, when I was in Hollywood, my managers would constantly say, Jennifer, you need to lose weight. All the time.
Really?
How are you doing on that diet, Jennifer? Because at that point in time, you really needed to be thin. You either had to be thin.
This was the 90s.
90s, early 2000s. You needed to either be thin or fat. I mean, overweight. Noticeably fat.
Like funny fat.
There's no place for you in the middle.
Wow.
You know, so I was constantly being told, you need to lose 20 pounds. How you doing on your diet? Stop eating.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a constant, and it's always been a constant battle for me. So it's a constant battle of you worrying about how you look.
So did that drive you nuts? I mean, I would assume it does, but I mean,
of course.
What degree of nuts does it drive you?
So you're constantly self-evaluating all the time. And when you go in for a call, I'm trying on 10 different outfits, wondering what the heck I'm going to wear, And then, of course, when you leave, it's like, oh, I should have done that. Why did I say that? Why did I do this? I didn't wear the right clothes. My hair's wrong. I mean, oh my gosh, you could just.
So then you're basically tearing yourself down, not on your performance, but then you're focusing on something else out there.
All the time. As soon as you know it's more visual than
Right.
anything.
So you don't miss any of that then?
No. I miss the work.
What's your IMDb profile under?
Jennifer Buttell.
Is it Buttell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Buttell.
I wanted to go back and.
Yeah, let's see. I was there from 89 is when I started school, and then 2015 is when we left.
So how many films were you in then out there? Did you do more TV than film?
I would say so.
You were in ER?
I did a lot of, one episode.
One episode?
Uh-huh.
What was your favorite?
Oh, that episode was pretty interesting. The director, which I believe was it Nolan? I want to say Christopher Nolan.
What? Are you serious?
That's what I want to say.
You were Fran.
Fran. Yes, I was the secretary for the attorney that was handling the malpractice suit. And the attorney is someone you'll know. He was on West Wing. He was in the Hannibal movie. He played the assistant to Hannibal. Anyway, so on that shoot, we had the scene. I am carrying the briefcase for the attorney. And I go out to meet the two leads that are coming to see him to discuss the procedure for the hearing. And I'm carrying his briefcase. And when he gets to the door to take them back to his office, he's supposed to take the briefcase from me. So we're shooting, and I'm carrying the briefcase. He goes, and he forgets the briefcase. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, you're going to need this." And so he said, "Oh, thank you so much," and took the briefcase. And then the director said, "Cut." He said, "Thank you so much, Jennifer, for saving that scene." And he said, "Everybody, I want you to remember what she did. That's what you do when you're improvising and you know how the scene's supposed to go. That's what you do."
That's cool.
And I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. And I just did it by it was just instinct.
Right.
I wasn't thinking about it. I just
Right.
thought, oh, you're going to need this.
That's awesome.
Because I had done some.
And George Clooney probably looked over there at you and was like,
whoa, what's happening? No.
if she was only a little bit older, I could have her a cougar in my next film.
I had studied improv with Jim Belushi.
Did you really?
Jim Belushi and his best friend Jim Barnes.
I don't know if I know Jim Barnes.
Jim Barnes is hysterical, and most of the time he's in any Jim Belushi movie because the two are just best friends. But that was a really cool experience. That was fun.
So was that like in a class that you all just did
Yes.
kind of outside?
Yeah,
Wow.
It was a workshop.
So now you've got a director credit on IMDb.
For
Out of the Blue.
Oh, yes. That was the documentary about my niece who was adopted. My sister adopted 5 children because she had so many problems trying to deliver a baby. So she just gave up. Leah is her name. And she found her birth mother. I mean, all I can say was a God thing. There's no other way that this could have happened. God orchestrated that. It was in 2014. She was preparing for her wedding. She had thought about trying to find her birth mother, but decided not to do it until after she was married. Her brother, who was also adopted, Nathan, who was planning to move to Olathe. This was in Olathe, Kansas. But he couldn't get out of his job to come and look at this house. So he asked Leah if she would go over and do like a video chat through the house so he could see the house. She said, yeah, great. So she asked her friend, Amy, to come with her. And they got to the house. And the realtor was acting really weird. Her name was Paula. And she was fumbling with the lock. And she was just really, they could tell she was just really nervous and being weird. And so they got into the house. And Leah started doing her video chat thing. And so Paula asked Amy, said, can I ask you something about Leah? And she says, yeah. Is her birthday in December? And Amy said, yeah. Why? And Paula says, well, was she born, where was she? Was she born in Olathe? Yeah. Why? And she says, well, I think I'm her birth mother. And Amy's like, whoa. Okay. You need to talk to her. You need to talk to Leah. So Leah's getting done doing her video chat thing. And she comes down the stairs and she says to Paula, she says, okay, well, my brother really likes the house. So what's the next step? What does he do? And so Paula told her, professional, finished up her realtor thing. And she says, I was talking to her friend Amy, and would you mind if I asked you a couple personal questions? And Leah's like, no, sure, go ahead. She says, is your birthday December 23rd? She said, yeah. And were you born here in Olathe, Kansas? Yeah. And she says, Leah's, why? What's happening? And Paula says, I believe that I'm your birth mother. And Leah just started freaking out.
I bet she freaked out.
And
Because the last thing you're thinking of, right?
Yeah. And it turned out to be true. Paula is indeed her birth mother.
Wow.
And so Paula ended up, so Leah tells Teresa, my sister, Teresa calls Mom, Dad calls me and says, did you hear what happened to Leah? And so John, my husband at the time, who's in the industry, director, producer, construction, prop maker, designer, whatever, everything, says, we should go out and film this. And I said, yeah, that'd be a great documentary story. So we drive to Kansas City for the wedding.
From California.
Yeah, from California, because she's getting married, and now she's got her birth mother, Paula, helping her get ready for her wedding, as well as my sister, and they all got along. And so we went out there and filmed the whole thing and did interviews with Teresa and Paula and heard their whole story, and we did a reenactment in the house because her brother ended up buying the house. So
all of your sister's kids, though, are from separate parents, though. Is that correct?
all but one. She did, I think it was Teresa, the fourth or fifth time she was pregnant. She actually carried all the way through. She was in and out of the hospital the whole time. She stayed in bed practically the whole pregnancy. So she did carry one child. So they do have one biological child. All the rest of them, yeah, they are adopted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is a cool story.
Yeah.
So can you
really.
watch? Is that available to see?
Out of the blue. Yeah. You can find it.
I'll put a link to it.
I think it's, there's a Facebook. I have a Facebook
cool.
page called Out of the Blue.
And then we have Welcome Home. That's a 7-minute short.
Welcome Home was a horror short
Really?
that we shot in Burbank at a soundstage.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. It was, it's a piece, it's a section of a full-length script called Dead Whisper.
Did you write the whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you were talking earlier before we kind of got into this big long thing.
Rabbit
so
hole.
what are some of, you've got a few projects that you are like personal projects that you have been working on. One of the projects was you want to talk about, because we worked on it together early on in the year. You want to kind of talk about that project?
So, the music video?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
My Buzzin Bee music video. I wrote My Buzzin Bee back in 2015, I think, with my music producer in LA. And after I had gotten here and gotten to know some people, and I was in Vincent's Vow, and I met Ducon and Mike Strain, and talked to him about producing something, shooting something. I decided just to do it. So got the lyrics, and I wrote the music video, what I wanted to do. But I also wanted to do a short that went with that too. And I wanted to shoot the short in black and white and have the short playing behind the singer on stage during the music video, because I just thought that would be really cool. So I wanted the short to kind of stand alone and the music video to stand alone, but be able to use them together as well. So I just called Mike up and I said, this is what I want to do. And so we met and went over everything, and Madison directed it, his son. And then, so Mike
David Watson filmed it.
Watson filmed it. Mike got the whole crew together, and I think, and so I cast it.
We had Bradley Mowell was on lighting.
Yes.
Tyler helped on it. We had Thomas Turville. We had Kong did audio.
And Jacob Deck, who was
directing. And then there was Joey.
He was choreographer.
And Who else?
So he choreographed.
Yeah.
He got his dancers together, and he cast the dancers, and I cast the actors, and it just 2 days.
It was fun.
Yeah,
it was a fun 2 days.
It was a blast. It was a blast.
We got to listen to the same song over and over and over again. Thank God you sound beautiful when you sing.
I love as soon as I was hearing this song, as I was listening to my own song, it's so weird. I just saw this hazy lounge type of atmosphere, kind of period thing going on.
Yeah.
And I love that whole era.
That kind of noir.
Yeah, definitely.
The period one has a very noir feel to it.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. Yeah.
And I haven't seen that one. I mean, I saw clips of it because it was playing in the background. But I did get to. You sent me kind of a sneak peek last week of the actual music video. And it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good.
Eileen O'Neill, who was in Mamma Mia with us, she's in it.
Yeah, she plays the femme fatale.
And then
Curtis plays the
Stout.
bumbling husband who is trying to figure out how to cheat on his wife for the first time.
Right. But it's cool because it has it kind of reminiscent of like a 1980s music video.
Yeah.
Because it has the dancers in it. Yeah. And they're very pronounced in the scene.
Yes.
And so it's kind of neat.
They have their own little story going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the bartender, Joshua, he's such an interesting character just all by himself.
Yeah.
He's got that red hair and a long beard, and I think he braided like sections of it.
It was like on two sides. It was like little piggy tails on either side of it.
So funny.
Well, and then you also had a project that we're actually going to take a look at after we get off of the podcast, but it's a project that you had kind of in the hopper for a while, and we're going to go in and try to get her finished up. But that was when you had, did you write a whole series?
Yeah.
So you have a whole series that's out there.
Yeah. So I wanted to kind of do like a limited series to start with. But with this kind of project, I mean, it's infinite.
Right.
I mean,
oh yeah, you could go on and on and on.
Use anybody, anywhere, anytime.
And then you've also got a few other projects in the hoppers. Any upcoming ones that you want to talk about?
I've Amy's Porch. Amy's Porch is a period crime supernatural mystery. And it's period. It's set, I think, well, the film, if I did it as a film, which I decided I could only do it as a series because there's so much information, because it takes place from 1907 to 1985. It's just so much information in there.
Spanning.
Yes, the times.
It's a really good script, though.
That whole thing started when I was in LA. My roommate and I were looking for scenes to do for an acting class. And at the time, I was doing the play Bedroom Farce by Alan Ayckbourn, an English comedy. And the producer fired the director and brought in a new director. His name was Donald McKechnie. And he was from England, Wales. He actually knew Alan Ayckbourn. So he finished directing the play, and we got to be really good friends. And so my roommate and I had asked him told him we needed scenes, and he had any suggestions. He had written this play that he handed us. The play is called Meetin's on the Porch. And he had started it as a series of scenes for a class that he had been teaching years before. And it was basically about him as a little boy would listen inside the screen door to his mother outside on the porch counseling all these different women or different people that would come by, and they would just ask her advice and talk to her about life and things. And so that's how it started. And so he gave me the play, and once I read the play, I'm like, I need to produce this. This needs to be produced. And it had been produced, but only in England. At the National, it was produced with Maggie Smith, Joan Plowright, and Carrie Snodgrass. Maggie Smith, Downton Abbey.
Oh, okay.
So, the Grand Dame,
Yeah.
Downton Abbey. So I went to this theater I was involved with, and a director there that I dearly loved and respected, and he read the play and he loved it, so he decided to direct it. I played Amy, which is Donald, based on Donald's mother, and then 2 other girls. So there's only 3 women in the play, going through 1917, 1928, 1945, and 1985. And so I produced the play. While I was rehearsing, Donald had to go into a hospice. He contracted AIDS and had to go into a hospice situation. He never got to see the play, but the week before we closed, he asked that the 3 women come and read his favorite scene for him. And so we went there to read his favorite scene for him. And Roland Joffe and his wife were there. Roland Joffe is a huge director in L.A., and his wife, and then several other of Donald's friends. Donald was also a ghostwriter and a co-writer of Scarlet Letter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
With Demi Moore?
Yeah. He did lots of writing for lots of movie directors
Really?
in LA. Yeah. And so while we were reading the scene, he stopped and he said, "Wait, is that Maggie? Is Maggie here?" You know, Maggie Smith. He was kind of in and out at that time. So on closing night of the play, we learned that Donald had passed the exact moment that the play ended. He, in his will, he left it all to me. Everything. All his research. Everything.
Wow.
From the time he first started working on it. So I have this box. And so from that time on, and that was, I think, in 2003 or 4, I've been determined to bring this to people. It's such a wonderful story.
It is. It's a really good script. Well, and that's actually how I got into Mamma Mia, because you came out to the house to look at my pond.
Right. Yes, because the pond
You were
is
location
huge.
scouting.
Yes. And how weird was that I drive away from your house and Jake says, "Oh, we're still looking for, one of the guide. We're still looking for a Sam." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. What about Tom? What about Tom?" So I'm like, I suggested Tom. And the thing is, I had totally forgot that Jake knew you from the music video, My Buzzin Bee. He already knew who you were.
Right.
And so when I suggested your name, he's like, "Yes."
Yeah.
"Does he sing?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Barely.
And he's like, I said, and I text you, and he said, "Yeah." And so I said, "Yeah, he sings." Well, then he's in. I don't need to see him. He's got it. Just get him over here. And you were just talking about how fun that would be to be in Mamma Mia because your kids
Love the show. Yeah, because I literally walked back inside the house after you left And I was like, Jen's in Mamma Mia down there. And I told her, if they had another role, like, it'd be kind of fun to be in it. And then you text me and you go, you're in it. And I go, oh, hey, I'm in the show now. And Michelle was like,
what?
Has he even heard you sing? And I go, what is that supposed to mean?
What are you trying to say, Michelle?
What are you trying to say?
Oh, yeah. So
yeah. So I would assume then that you're kind of in a pre-production on that then? Maybe kind of sort of?
Yeah, I'm trying to gather.
We'll talk
people.
about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's have lunch.
Let's have lunch. We'll talk.
Yes. Let's talk. Exactly.
Well, Jen, we've been on here an hour and 20 minutes.
Get out.
It hasn't stopped.
Well, you know, I have lived a long time.
You don't look a day over 25
Oh, wow.
or 30.
Thank you very much.
You're cute, though. It's a cute 30.
Yes, in a scary kind of way.
Golly. I don't know if I would be able to deal with that. I honestly wouldn't.
You know, I love playing the villain. It is so fun playing the villain, or, you know.
You know, the people that play the villains are the best are usually the people that I like the most. They just have
because the roles are just so fun and juicy, and it's like you can, you know, get into that that part of yourself that you never
get to actually
near.
do
Right. So that's why they're so much fun.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thank you for asking.
This was great, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably link out your IMDb, so everybody go out there and check all the shows that Jennifer was in. Pretty soon that we'll be releasing, probably within, I would say maybe the next week, 2 weeks,
so.
We'll probably be releasing the Buzzin Bee, and then you're actually looking at doing kind of a premiere of that, aren't you?
Yes.
So that'll be kind of fun.
Yes.
So you got some stuff in the hopper coming up. So,
I do.
And then if the stars align tonight after auditions, you will be in not the next Branson Regional Arts Council Owen Theatre production,
but the Halloween production.
The Halloween production,
right?
Which that'll be awesome. Glutton for punishment,
and where I get to play the villain.
Jen, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. So fun.
You have been listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast. Analysis of your biometrics have been compiled and calculated. You are now a minuscule part of the collective. Enjoy the rest of your pitiful day.